Welcome back in, everybody, to another episode of Tide Talk Live. Stacey Blackwood, joined as always by my good buddy Jake Thomas. Jake, we have made it to game week. It is week one of the college football season. We had a little bit of a taste of the college football action this past Saturday with week zero with a handful of games. But now the big boys are in action. And Jake, Alabama's going to take the field on Saturday, and I cannot wait. How you doing, buddy? And I can't wait to dive into this MTSU preview.
Yeah, Stacey, man, I'm excited to be back. I'm excited football is back. Like you said, we did get a taste last weekend, last Saturday, of some football, but truly it starts this week because your big boys are finally playing now, and Alabama's that big boy. So, man, let's jump right into it. I'm excited to go.
Yeah, I'm ready to dive into it right now, but but we got to take care of a couple of things. Make sure you do like, share, and subscribe today. We're less than 800 subscribers away from 3,000, so we want to reach that goal before the end of the calendar year, and I think we can do that. So
Mhm.
we'd appreciate that support there. And then jump in the comment section and let us know your score prediction for Saturday's game between Alabama and Middle Tennessee State. Cannot wait to see what everybody thinks there. We'll give our score predictions towards the end of this show, and just kind of a, a, a reminder, this Saturday morning, probably around 9 o'clock Central in the morning, we're going to be doing a live show to kind of get everybody hopped and ready for the matchup that day. Or that night, really, between Alabama and Middle Tennessee State. So, looking forward to that. Hope you'll join us there as well. But in the meantime, Jake, we're going to kind of preview this game. We're going to look at it from the offensive side of the football, from the defensive side of the football, and then wrap up with our final score predictions. But Jake, there's a lot of really some question marks on this Alabama offense, and that's where we're going to start. So, in your estimation, what does the Alabama offense need to do on Saturday to either calm some nerves, answer some questions, and just kind of get off on the right foot to start the season?
To me, first and foremost, is establish the run early. I feel like if we're going back to more of a bully ball type style of offense, which we've heard a lot about this off season, you've got to get there's 3-4 running backs in the game early on and get the momentum, get your offensive line moving the pocket, moving. Getting their guy and pushing them downfield to open up and create running lanes if you want to establish that running game early. We also heard a lot about how that offensive line is really getting more physical and has been more physical this fall camp and this summer. So it's time to show it on the field now. Don't let it just be talk. Get out there and show that you want to be more physical than your opponent. So I know it's MTSU, but still, you got to work over these guys and get experience for your tough tests in the SEC come defensive linemen. So, that's another thing I want to see. And then, of course, Jalen Milroe, we'll see what he can do. I want to see if he can get established early and kind of get some confidence. I think whoever decides to win the quarterback, competition's got to get some confidence built in them. So hopefully we see some confidence instilled in either him or either it's Buckner or Ty Simpson, just somebody, get some confidence and show leadership. That's something else I'm ready to see and look forward to come Saturday.
Wow, that was a that was a very long-winded answer. Yeah, and I agree on all those points. And I want to touch on, look, it is Middle Tennessee State. They obviously do not have
Right.
the talent level that Alabama has, so you can only take so much from this game.
Mhm.
But MTSU returns 8 of 11 starters on defense. They return their leading tackler. They return Conference USA's leading pass defender, one of the better corners in that conference, really in the group of five level, one of the better corners overall. So they have some good players on that side of the football. So it's going to be a good test for Jalen Milroe, that offensive line, because that defensive front from MTSU, they love to stunt. They love to kind of attack the opposing offense. So it's going to be a good early test for Jalen Milroe, and if
Mhm.
other quarterbacks play, for those guys as well. And like you mentioned, the offensive line needs to really show. Look, the talk all summer, all offseason has been about that physical brand of football returning to the Alabama standard. of punishing defenders and just wearing folks out over a 4-quarter contest. And now it's time to show it, Jake.
Right.
It's week 1. The game is here. You've been practicing against each other all fall camp. Now it's time to hit somebody else in the mouth. And this offensive line can come out and make an early statement and let everybody know, look, we're not all talk. We're about action here, and we're going to show you on the football field. So that's what I want to see. And also, Jake, look, these receivers, this fall camp has been littered with drops. Has it been made a bigger deal than what it probably is? Most likely.
Yeah.
Things like that are always made bigger than what they actually are. But drops have been a thing for Alabama this fall camp. They were a thing for the team last year. So, just being sure-handed, catch the football, and maybe finding somebody to be that vertical threat in the offense. So I'm looking forward to all that, Jake. I think it's a good test for Alabama because obviously Alabama has far superior talent. They're going to most likely have their way with MTSU, but they're not just a complete pushover like some opponents are because they do have a lot of experience coming back and a lot of quality experience coming back. So anytime you return 8 of 11 starters from your defense, you're going to be a solid group, even fundamentally in your execution. So Alabama's going to have to execute to be able to be consistent in moving the football against MTSU.
Yeah, I agree, Stacey. And I don't want to spread rat poison, but I was trying to be delicate about MTSU, but they did win 8 games last year, and they beat Miami. I mean, so they have, of course, Miami wasn't that great last year, but still, a ACC school got beat by MTSU. I mean, that's something for that program. So they're very talented, and the group of 5. So. And also said about the confidence in the quarterbacks, that hinges on the receivers. You talked about the drops. Just say, Miro throws a perfectly thrown ball and it just goes right through the hands of the receivers. You think the confidence level kind of drops with Miro. It's like, man, I threw a perfect pass, but my guys are dropping it. So there's a lot of dynamic going on right there too. So hopefully the drops are over with. They got it out of their system in the fall camp, and let's just move on to the next game and start getting some confidence within the receivers and the quarterbacks.
All right, Jake, before we move on defensively to what Alabama kind of needs to do and what they can expect from MTSU, give me who you think is going to be the offensive player of the game.
Okay.
I'm throwing you a curveball here. I didn't.
No, you're good.
In our 30-second show prep before we started recording, I did not include this.
I'm going to go with. I'm going to go outside. I don't think it's really outside the box, but I'm going to surprise people. I'm going with Jermaine Burton.
Okay.
I mean, there's been a lot of talk. How through the summer he's kind of grown and he started showing a little bit more leadership. And we talked about it, Stacey, before the summer really hit when we were just previewing, doing our depth chart, how there's a lot of young guys that's beneath him on the depth chart that if he doesn't step up this year, he could be sitting on the bench and watching these young guys play. So I feel like he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's matured, obviously, from what we have been told, and he's become more of a leader. So I feel like he's going to step up and have a big game this week.
I like that pick. I really do. I'm going to go with Amari Niblack, the tight end. I think he can be a really good red zone weapon for Alabama, and kind of, even outside of the red zone, he can be a weapon for this offense. And I think he could have you remember a couple of years back, Miami to open the season where Latu caught 2 touchdown passes, didn't rack up a bunch of yards in that game, but had a couple touchdown grabs there in the red zone. I could see that type of performance from Amari Niblack here against MTSU. So that's who I'm going to go with. Jake, as we kind of shift our focus to the other side of the football for Alabama, MTSU, they kind of run that air raid attack. It's real. They're what they do offensively is real similar to what kind of Mike Leach done with Mississippi State, where they get the ball out quick in the passing game. They don't run it a ton. I think their leading rusher from last year, who's back this season, had about 700 yards on the year. So they don't run it a ton. But they run it enough to try to keep you honest a little bit. But most of their offense is going to be those little dink and dunk plays, 5-10 yard passes, and just try to nickel and dime you down the field. So that's what you can expect from MTSU. They got a redshirt sophomore quarterback who's going to be making the start for the Blue Raiders. He's started in the past. He did get beat out last year by an upperclassman, but so he's not a totally inexperienced quarterback. But this is probably one of the tougher environments he's going to be playing in under the lights of Bryant-Denny Stadium. So that's what the defense can expect. What are you thinking defensively for Alabama? What's some keys to success and what you're hoping to see from those 11 on the defensive side of the football?
Yeah, I'm hoping that the linebackers, if it's their, and their little zone bubble, get out in the flats. It seems like we've had issues in the past under Pete Golden. We just never had anybody out in the flats, and the the running back just be wide open out there and get 20 yards, and it just like nothing. So hopefully we figured that out and get somebody out there to cover the flats, because it seems like we haven't done it the last couple of seasons. And I want to see. Everybody knows how great the secondary is. I want to look at the defensive line. A lot of talk has been on the defensive line as well about how they've not been talking about physicality. They've not been physical the last several years, being get pushed off the ball. I want to see somebody step up on that defensive line, whether it is Jaheim Otis, Tim Smith, Justin Aborgby. We've seen Tim Keenan has had a great camp. Somebody step up and be a playmaker and be a disruptor on that defensive line. That way the linebackers can do their jobs instead of having to worry about being, a offensive tackle or offensive guard being the second level trying to block them. Block your guy, get to the quarterback if you can, and hold blocks. I want to see the defensive line take that next step this year.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And the way MTSU is going to attack, it'll be important for the defensive line to kind of, like you said, they need plays.
Mm-hmm.
With how quick MTSU is going to get rid of the football, I don't foresee a lot of sacks in this game.
Right.
It's not going to be a case where Alabama has 5 to 6 sacks. It's probably going to be a rather small number. So the linebackers in the secondary are going to have to play well and tackle well in space. That's always big, especially early on in the season is tackling in space. So I'm looking forward to see how well they do that. I look at the linebackers, Jake, and guys like Deontay Lawson, Trez Marshall, Jihad Campbell. If those guys can make plays, as pass defenders, which is something they're going to be asked to do in this matchup. And like you said, covering the running back in the flats, it's something Alabama struggled with over the last several years. So hopefully they kind of got that taken care of. But and you talked about the back end. I expect Alabama to play maybe 6 to 8 different defensive backs in this game. I mean, I really believe that. So, you think about the guys like Caleb Downs, Malachi Moore, Kool-Aid, Terrion Arnold, Jalen Key is going to play.
Amos
is going to play. Earl Little's going to play. So there's going to be 6, 7, maybe even 8 guys play in the secondary and playing against MTSU. They're going to have opportunities to make plays. Right. So one thing that I'm really looking forward to, Jake, is this coaching staff with Kevin Steele coming in as the defensive coordinator. They have made a real concentrated effort to force more turnovers.
Right.
Look, they're going to do a lot of dink and dunk. They're probably not going to take a ton of shots, but when the shots are taken, Alabama needs to be in position to make plays. They need to force some turnovers, maybe get a pick 6. So just to kind of create that identity on defense, because early on in the season, what is it about? It's creating an identity, both offensively and defensively. And the defense can do that Saturday night in Bryant-Denny Stadium by, rallying to the football, playing sound fundamental football, tackling in space, forcing some turnovers, and just being that Alabama defense that we're all accustomed to seeing.
Yeah, I agree, Stacey. We've been, very high on this secondary all season and through the summer. Caleb Downs, you're looking at a freshman All-American, no doubt in my mind. He is that good, and that secondary is loaded with talent. And I feel like Malachi Moore is going to have a kind of like freshman-esque season this year. So I'm hoping that's the case for him, because you talk about making turnovers. I think he had 2 or 3 interceptions that his freshman year. So we need those knots. So we talk about non-offensive touchdowns. We've been lacking those, but just creating a turnover will be very helpful because we've not been able to force turnovers defense in the last several years.
Yeah, no doubt. Jake, if you had to pick a defensive player that kind of stands out and becomes that defensive player of the game, who are you going to go with this week?
Since you kind of mentioned that, they're going to do a lot of dinking and dunking, I figured the linebackers are going to see a lot of play and a lot of action. So I'm going to actually go with Dante Lawson.
Okay.
I just feel like, he come on strong late last season. He's finally getting his turn to be a starter and don't have to worry about. I feel like don't have to worry about losing his spot because I feel like, out of the inside linebackers, he's just pretty much guaranteed because he's just that good. So I feel like he's going to have a big game Saturday.
Yeah, I like that, and I wanted to go linebacker, but
Mm-hmm.
the more I think about it, Jake, I just feel like Malachi Moore could have a really good game
Mm-hmm.
here against MTSU, and uh, like you mentioned, his freshman campaign was phenomenal. I
Oh
mean,
man.
he had future first rounder, All
Mm-hmm.
American written all over him. Then injuries happens. He gets up by Brian Branch, and for obvious
Mm-hmm.
reasons, now Brian Branch is looking like a stud in the NFL with the
Yeah.
Detroit Lions. So I'm hoping that Malachi Moore really comes in and shows what he's capable of doing because I think he's a great football player.
Mm-hmm.
He's not the most athletic kid. He's not the biggest, strongest, the fastest, but he's just a really dang good football player. And I hope he gets back to that level of playmaking ability because if he can do that, it's just going to make this defense that much better. Getting some turnovers, some of those not offensive touchdowns, that's what makes a defense special. That's what
Right.
can turn a game around. That's what can help your offense. And I think that's what Alabama is going to be focusing on here in 2023.
Yeah, I agree 100%, Stacey. Another one quick thing, another thing that I feel like the team as a whole is going to be focusing on is limiting penalties. I mean, penalties was a real bad thing last year, so we've got to work on that as well.
That's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, the penalties and what's penalties. Not all penalties are created equal.
Right.
Because if a guy's trying to make a play and he, accidentally grabs a face mask or, he's, pass interference calls are so, I mean, they're
Oh,
50-50 calls
they
most of the
are.
time. So I hate to look at those, but the pre-snap penalties, Jake, they're
Hmm.
inexcusable. Jumping off sides is inexcusable. False start is inexcusable.
Hmm.
So just those delay a game, you can't have those. And if
Right.
you cut out those, you put yourself in a much better position to be successful. So I'm with you there. They got to do better this year, and I expect they will. This seems like a real focused group. Coach
Right.
Saban seems to like the mental makeup of this team. So I'm excited about it, Jake. Kick off in just a few short days from Bryant
Let's
Denny
go.
Stadium. Can't get here soon enough. Before we head out, Jake, like I mentioned earlier, I want everybody to jump in the comments right now and drop your score prediction for Saturday night's game between Alabama and Middle Tennessee State. Jake, gonna give it up to you first. What is your final score prediction? Alabama's around a 39.5 point favorite right now.
Yeah, I think they do cover the spread. So I'm gonna have. I was thinking like 48 to 10, but I was thinking it was like 38 or a 38-point spread, but it's 39.5. So I'm gonna say like 54-10.
Okay,
And I think the second team defense late gives up a touchdown. I don't think the first team defense, you know, I just don't think that they give up anything besides maybe a field goal on a short, field or something. I really believe this defense is locked in this year. So I feel like the first team defense is going to play well, and the second team defense may give up a touchdown late and be 55-10.
I got you. I got you. I'm going to go 48-7 Alabama. So we both have them covering.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think it's going to be around 48-7 Alabama. I think Alabama comes out and looks like a team angry.
Right.
And if they do that, this game obviously won't be close. So 48-7 me, would you say 54-10?
Yeah.
So there's our score predictions. Like I said, please smash the like button and jump in the comments and give us your score predictions so we can kind of all interact there in the comment section with those score predictions. All right, Jake, that's going to wrap it up. That was a lot of fun. A
Yeah.
quick preview of MTSU versus Alabama, week 1 of the college football season, just right around the corner. Just a reminder, we'll be live here on Saturday morning to talk more about this game. and probably some other games around the SEC and around college football as well. Probably go anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour live just to kind of talk some college football on Saturday morning. And also, Jake put something out on Twitter to kind of help us name what we're going to be doing on Saturday mornings all throughout the college football season with our live shows. So hop on Twitter and look at that and give us your thoughts and opinions on a good name for our Saturday live show each and every Saturday morning throughout the college football season. But that's going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for watching. Cannot wait to be back on Saturday morning to talk some more Alabama football. But until then, roll Tide.
Roll Tide.